How can we improve performance? This is the same question coaches, athletes and scientists around the world have asked for hundreds of years. Now, athletes tend to focus on two main areas when they are looking to take their game to the next level. The first area is improving their physiology. Athletes lift weights to build muscle so they can lift heavier or be more explosive. The second area athletes focus upon is their equipment. The equipment used will vary from sport to sport, but the underlying idea is the same. If you can have the latest equipment, which is lighter or stronger than your competitors, that gives you the edge come competition day, and you have a greater chance of being successful. But there's an often neglected third category, the mental game, which allows athletes to experience substantial improvements in performance and gain an edge over other athletes. Recent research has suggested that psychological factors dramatically increase the likelihood of us giving up during competitions, which of course limits our chances of success. It's highly likely that you've actually experienced this factor and it's limiting your performance, but you've never realised the impact that it's having. Mind.Set.Action can teach you the sports psychology techniques to overcome the factors that may be reducing your potential. To explain what psychological factor limits your performance, we need to look at the story of Paula Newby-Fraser. In 1995, Paula Newby-Fraser was seeking to win her 8th Ironman World Championship. She was widely considered one of the greatest female Ironman competitors of all time, having already won 7 titles. And her chances of an 8th title were looking good. With 6 miles of the 140-mile long course to complete, she had a 3-minute lead over her nearest competitor. But with just over 1 mile to go, she started to stagger. After the event, she said, "I stopped at one point and thought, I can't finish. There's no way. I actually thought that I was going to die. I just thought, just take one more step." But there was no way I could do it. Shortly after this, she was overtaken and fell into 2nd place, then 3rd place, and eventually she claimed 4th place. Why couldn't she just have kept going for that last mile? What caused her performance to plummet to the point where she had to stop, even though she was desperate to win the race? The first answer most coaches and athletes think of is that her performance levels dropped because of her physiology. Her muscles just weren't quite developed enough to sustain the pace that she'd maintained during the majority of the race, and it all just came to a breaking point just before the last mile. This is the response almost everyone chooses. The idea being that we can improve performance by improving our physiology. If an athlete's muscles are more developed with a greater number of muscle fibers and a more efficient respiratory system than their competitors, then they should be successful. This is why every athlete trains. They lift weights to build muscle so they can lift heavier or be more explosive. They tailor their diet to ensure they are light enough to move quickly but still strong enough to perform well. In this example, Paula's muscles were incredibly well developed, but on this occasion, they were just too energy depleted and lacked that last bit of strength to come at 8th Ironman World Championships. But as we hinted at earlier, there's another answer. The psychobiological model suggests that this drop in performance wasn't due to depleted levels of energy or a buildup of lactic in her muscles. It wasn't her body that failed, it was her mind. Specifically, her level of perceived exertion. Now, perceived exertion is how hard we think we are working. On one end of the spectrum, we have low levels of perceived exertion, where we're running or cycling at a slow, steady pace, and we know there's plenty of fuel left in the tank. For example, during your warm-up routine, you like to have a low level of perceived exertion. You might do a few short sprints, but you aren't working anywhere near your maximum. On the other end of the spectrum, we have high levels of perceived exertion, where we think we're performing at 100% capacity, and there's no way we can run faster, lift heavier, or perform any better. This model suggests that when we experience a high level of perceived exertion, and think that we've given our absolute maximum effort and that continuing to perform is impossible, we feel an extreme sense of panic, anxiety, and distress. These emotions arise because we start to face the possibility that we might not achieve our goals. And in this moment, we're now starting to suffer, both mentally and physically. Mentally, we're struggling with the feelings of panic and anxiety. Physically, we might be experiencing burning sensation or tiredness in our legs, shoulders, or arms. And as we try to continue performing, this mental and physical suffering worsens, and the only way to end this suffering is to slow down or stop. Let's look how this model explains what happened to Paulie Newby-Fraser. During her post-race interview, she said, "I actually thought that I was going to die." She'd clearly been working incredibly hard, and she was starting to believe that she couldn't continue to run. She also started to mentally suffer, outlining she kept thinking, "I can't finish." And eventually she couldn't endure this physical and mental suffering any longer, and she had to stop. What limits our performance is our perception of effort, how hard we think we're working. If we think like Paula that we have given all of our effort and that we can't continue for one more moment, whether that's running up a hill, lifting weights or swimming lengths, this causes those distressing feelings of panic and anxiety to arise, and we choose to slow down or rest. Now, I'm not discounting the idea that training to improve muscle endurance or develop the right muscle fibers will not have any effect on your performance levels, but we're realizing that this isn't the only important factor. Improving your physiology is half of the story. The other half is learning how to reduce your perception of effort so your mind will allow your body to perform to its full potential. What the above example illustrates is that in order to unlock your peak performance levels, you need to have the tools to reduce your perceived level of effort during competitions. It's guaranteed that during any competition you're going to push yourself to your absolute limits, and those thoughts of "I can't hold this pace" or "I'm not sure I can go any faster" will cross your mind. If you don't know how to combat these thoughts, they'll lead to panic, anxiety and distress, and your body will slow down or stop to rest. Mind.Set.Action will show you a simple technique to use when those discomfort-focused thoughts occur, so you can maintain, if not increase, your levels of performance. Ultimately, this allows you to squeeze out every ounce of effort and energy and maximize the chance of you performing your best and being successful. To find out how to unlock your peak performance, you can email me jack@mindsetaction.co.uk or visit mindsetaction.teachable.com. That link is in the description below this video.